BookTube, it's Louise, the Big Head Bookworm. Lovely to see you. Hope you're doing well. Here I am, sat at the top of my stairs again. I'm going to carry on recording because I've thoroughly enjoyed my last chat to you when I was telling you about the books that I have read recently. So, I have tried a lot more books than I have actually shown you so far. I have been getting to a certain stage in a book and then not reading any further for some reason. Now, sometimes it's because I've just really been struggling with the book, and then other times I'm not even sure why it is. I've not been able to just pick up a book and automatically launch myself into it. I've not been getting that feeling. So, for example, I picked up the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Hesitantly, actually, because the previous 2 books I had struggled with, I wasn't getting that feeling. Anyway, by page 3, I got that feeling that I realised I had been missing with my previous books. I got the book tingle. Yes, where you start a book and you go, oh, okay. The tingle's there. It's going to be good. I know I'm going to get into the book and I'm going to keep on reading the book, and I'm already there. It's already got me. Now, sometimes it does take 20, 30, 40, however many pages to get into the book, and sometimes you're going to read it whatever. But recently, I've been reading books, getting to a certain point, and then just abandoning them or putting them down, and it's actually, I've deliberately been doing other things rather than picking them up, and eventually I've just had to put them aside and stuff. So it was actually really interesting picking this book up, and I got the book tingle. I got the feeling that I've been looking for, and it made me realise these other books really haven't been doing it for me. So I am going to show you the books that have not been giving me the tingles. This one, tingles, that far through it already. The other books, no tingles. So this is my no tingles selection of books. Okay, so I'm going to start off with The Little Red Chairs by Edna O'Brien. So this is a novel where a man who calls himself a faith healer, can't say that, arrives in a small West Coast Irish village. The community is soon under the spell of this charismatic stranger from the Balkans. One woman in particular, Fidelma McBride, becomes enthralled in a fatal attraction that leads to unimaginable consequences. Sorry about that, wasn't my best reading. So I've never read any Edna O'Brien, but I've always fancied reading some. I really liked the sound of this when I read the back of it, and it's been on my shelf for a while, and I moved it kind of up the shelf so that it was actually there, and I thought, all right, I shall pick it up. I must have tried this 3 times, so you can see I'm that far through on the final time, and I've been in a funny place with reading because of the whole business about moving, and before that with the death of my beloved mum, I haven't been in the best place for reading, and I think I will love this eventually, but I really wanted to love it straight away, and I haven't. So I'm on page 18, which is barely anything, and that to me is such a quick, for me to get to page 18 doesn't take me very long, but it did take me a long time, and I kept having to work at it. So I think I'm going to put it back on the shelf downstairs and come back to it another day and know that I will give it a go. In fact, I shall move the bookmark. Oh, it's serious when I take the bookmark out. It's serious, but I'm going to take the bookmark out of that one, put that back on the shelf to come to later. So no tingles there. That was a no tingle book for me. I still haven't gone back to Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. This is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series. I just don't know what page. I mean, I'm halfway through. Well, not halfway through. I'm page 169 out of however many. Again, I'm taking the bookmark out. That's a nice bookmark, actually. It was just a postcard I picked up in a shop. That was quite nice, actually. I'm going to take the bookmark out and I'm going to put it back on the shelf. I will give it a go. I probably would read the next one in the series, and so I probably am going to have to read it at some point, but I'm going to have to feel really in the mood for that. But that's going to go back on the shelf, I think. It just hasn't been thrilling me. Oh, this is such a shame. This one I've already taken the bookmark out of this one. That's how serious. On a page 157. So that is that far through. And that's A Curious Beginning by Dina Rayburn, which is a kind of a steampunk mystery. Beginning of a series. Veronica Speedwell is sure to join the greats of mystery fiction. It left me whimpering for more. So it's steampunk mystery. She's on the run from people trying to hurt her, we think, but I'm not really sure. I've got to page 157 and I'm not totally sure what it is that's happening still. I could have finished this. I could have just carried on hoofling through it, but it just wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't loving it or not loving it. It was just a real, and I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's because it's very arch. So when I picked up Soulless by Gail Carriger, I said it was very arch, that the tone of it was very arch. Now that's a paranormal steampunk romance, and it's just brilliant. Whereas this, it felt almost caricature in its tone, and it distanced me too much. I couldn't get into it. I just couldn't get into it. I liked the characters and what have you, but it just has been leaving me cold. And I was doing other things rather than pick it up. And so eventually I just thought, no, I'm not having to read this for an exam. I'm not having to read this for any particular reason. Dina Rayburn will be fine if I just say I'm going to have to come back to this at some other time. I might just put it on the shelf and say maybe at some point and see how I go. It could be that eventually it leaves through the front door. But yes, that's a real shame. It just didn't catch me. So A Curious Beginning by Dina Rayburn. And look at it, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous, and yet it's not done anything for me. No tingles there. I feel like I'm betraying BookTube. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I have been halfway through this book, 50% through, excuse me. Shifting I am. I have been on page 326 out of 658. Literally halfway through. For well over a year now, and I haven't picked it up. I am not going to start again because I can remember enough of that has happened. I'm not starting it again. I think at some point I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and finish it. And just say, right, give yourself a couple of days, read on. It's so much beloved by people. It's fantasy, first in the series. The second one is what's it called, everybody? This is the Kingkiller Chronicle. I can't remember what the second one's called. You know it. You're all saying it to me. And the third one hasn't come out yet. So I don't feel like at the moment I can't see myself carrying on with it because I've been stuck halfway through for a year, and I have been, more excited by other things. But yes, I know I'm wrong again. This one. A Perfect Spy by John le Carré. John le Carré isn't particularly a light-hearted writer anyway. I'm again on page 156. Oh, that's weird. That's the same as the other one. I got to 156 in this. I mean, it's a bit of a tome. How many pages is it? 680. And I will read it at some point because I do like John le Carré and I do like spy books an awful lot. But this was too cool for me when I was reading it. And I haven't picked it back up yet. And each time I see it, I kind of think, oh. But no, I will pick it back up. I think with a bit more, if I'm in a better space, this will give me the tingles. And I could just sit and read through it. But I think this would give me the tingles in the right time. But it's not there yet for me. And the last one I was really enjoying, and quite a lot of people said to me, "Oh, you'll really enjoy it when you start it." And that's The Passage by Justin Cronin. And I started it, and then I became quite poorly. I got a couple of bouts of tonsillitis, and it really knocked me for 6. And I had started it, and then became quite ill, and so I was feeling quite feverish and quite under the weather. Not in a good place anyway. I got to page 102 and it was just too gruesome for me. At that time, I really wasn't feeling well. I was feeling quite feverish and was not sure. It wasn't good. And I knew it was getting to the point where actually it was really beginning to to catch. And so this, out of all of those that I have just shown you, is the one that I am going to read. So either I'm going to read it in July. I'm not sure I'm going to read it in June, but I might do. I might. That's going to be my next big book that I read that I have to come back to. I'm going to read this. Now I can remember what happened to it, so I don't feel like I need to reread it from the start. I've got enough memory of where we were and what had happened. And I was really involved in it, so much so that when I was feeling feverish and I was reading it, I was getting it was affecting my dreams and how I was feeling about things. So I was kind of slightly nervous about starting it for that. Have you ever had that, where a book's actually, the feeling of it is too much? You know, does anybody ever have that? But yes, it can do that. Books, very good books, can do that for me. So I think as a horror, it's a good one for that, because it really was working. But yeah, so that's it. Such a good cover as well. But I will be reading this. So there we go. There's my No Tingles books. So there's plenty of them now that I have taken the bookmarks out. That's like my final thing with a book, when I think, right, we're not getting on. I just kind of ceremoniously take the bookmark out of it, because I nearly always have a bookmark in my bookmark. So those, any of those? Or do you have the same thing? Does it take a certain point for you to just go, right, that's it. I've had enough. It's not that I dislike you, it's just not working for me. Right then, BookTube. Let me know if you've had anything, or what's given you a tingle recently. More excitingly, my most recent tingle is the 5th season. And actually, it's pretty good that I am actually recording, because otherwise I would just be sat downstairs reading the book. It is that good. Right, it's been lovely talking to you, BookTube. As always, you've been charming. Let's do this again. Bye!